Hey guys, so today I want to talk about why I stopped using M1 Finance. So if you guys didn't know, M1 Finance is a broker service similar to Robinhood, Webull, stuff like that, that it's mainly focused in an app. There is a website, but most of it is focused inside the app. I have a lot of experience with M1 Finance. I actually had two accounts with them. I had one that I was using for a dividend account, which was, just stocks to pay dividends. And then I also had a Roth IRA account with them. Both of those accounts I ended pulling out and switching over to E-Trade, which is, in my opinion, way better. So I will talk about some of the pros and cons of M1 Finance, why I liked it, and ultimately why I chose to pull out. But first of all, don't get me wrong. M1 Finance has a lot of good features for long-term investors, not so much for day traders. So while I'm not saying it's a horrible service to use, there's a lot of people who will definitely find value in this broker. Okay, so let me start with one of the reasons why I like M1 Finance and one of their pros. And that is that they allow you to buy fractional shares. Now, when I first started using M1 Finance, it was about a year ago. I believe in June of 2019. And they were one of the first companies to ever allow you to buy fractional shares. And that was, pretty much their competitive advantage over other brokers. If you only had $1,000 to invest, you can split that up evenly 10 ways, between Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, all those big companies. Whereas if you had $1,000 and you had to buy singular shares of those companies, it would, cost a fortune, or you wouldn't be able to completely buy enough to actually be invested in them. So this is one of the main things that I liked about M1 Finance, that I was able to invest and diversify my portfolio evenly across all of them, because they allow you to create these pies, right? And so each pie, which is a circle, contains a percentage of whatever stocks you put in it. So anytime you add money, it gets distributed evenly in that pie. Now, a good thing about this pie model is that if you keep adding money to it over time, you will essentially buy the dips for whatever stock you have whenever it drops. So, for example, if you have 50-50 of Amazon and Facebook, if suddenly Facebook drops in value, you will have 45% Facebook, 55% Amazon, right? And so then when you add money, it will add that 5% back into Facebook. And so that way you buy the dip and get a lower average sort of thing. So that is one of the main reasons why I started using it, especially for my dividend account. There is another action with the pies where you can rebalance your pies. So if every slice, which is what each stock inside the pie is called, is unevenly split, if it's overweight, it means it's higher than the percentage you want it to be. And if it's underweight, it means it's below the percentage you want it to be. So when you rebalance it, it sells the overweight shares and buys the underweight shares, kind of to take it back into that same percent that you want them to be. So that, unfortunately, is a taxable event because you are literally selling shares. And so you kind of have to pay taxes on, any realized gain. Another reason why I like them, another pro, is they have very fast deposits, at least in my experience. Whenever I deposited money, I can immediately go and buy whatever shares, were in my pie. I didn't have to wait, 3 to 5 business days for the money to settle and go into my account. I can just immediately go and buy the pie, and then the money would settle later. So I'm guessing, if you do mess up something, then maybe they put your account on hold, just to be safe. But I never had any issues with them. There's also an option for you to direct deposit into your pie with M1 Spend, which is technically their checking account type of thing. You get a debit card and a routing number and account number for direct deposit. Another feature that is good for auto investing is the feature that's called auto invest. So basically you can set it up where every time your cash in your account surpasses a specific threshold, let's say $10, those funds will immediately go into your pie. They will buy shares equal to those $10, equal to whatever percent the shares are in, right? So it's kind of like dividend reinvesting, but it's for the entire pie. So that was something that I liked, especially when I was doing my dividend account. Every time dividends came in, if it surpassed that threshold, it would just go back and reinvest it into those stocks. So here's a pro, also kind of a con for some people. There are no pink sheet stocks, none of that crap. It's mostly big stocks, big ETFs that have a lot of volume every single day. So this is definitely not for day traders, or short sellers. You can't short in this platform. And so they need stocks that have a lot of volume so they can buy everything that everybody wants at one time. More on that later. Another thing that had a competitive advantage of this against other companies was that there are no fees, no transaction fees, no order fees. Everything was free. You can start an account for free, close it for free, kind of. When you transfer in an account, that's also free, and it's for active traders. So you do get a fee if you don't have your account or are inactive, something like that, which is fair because other accounts and other brokers do have that. So you can literally buy as much or as little as you want without fees. So you can buy $1 worth of a stock, or maybe $5 worth of a stock, and it will cost you the same if you were to buy $50,000 worth of a stock. So other brokerages charge based on how many shares you're buying. The more shares you buy, the more fees and stuff like that. They also have low account minimums. To open a regular account, the minimum is $100, and to open an IRA account, the minimum is $500. Another pro is that they have a very user-friendly interface. So I'm a millennial, so of course I like things to be where they're at, where they're supposed to be. So, being able to get where I want, when I want. I usually compare this to Vanguard. Vanguard is definitely not user-friendly. There is an abundance of information on every screen, a lot of text, a lot of things. So, and I did use Vanguard before, so trust me, I know. Okay, so now for the cons. To start, I want to say that this is definitely not for day traders. The main reason is because executions are done once per day, and I believe there were around 11 or 10 a.m. I believe after I left, they did change the time that they execute, but it's once per day. So you either buy once per day or sell once per day, or both, right? So everything happens around that time frame between 10 and 11 a.m. So this is kind of a con, because you don't get to pick your entry, right? They pick it for you during that day. And if you guys know anything about stocks, most of the action for every day is in the morning, So what happens is if there's a lot of buying pressure, you're probably going to get a high entry. If there's a lot of selling pressure, you're probably going to get a low sell. So you don't get to literally pick your entry price and selling price. There is also, I guess I should mention, an afternoon entry, but you have to pay. I will talk about that in a little bit. And I believe it's at 3 or 2 p.m. So once again, you don't get to pick the price. It's just whatever the price they get filled in during that time. So also, selling is definitely not intuitive. You need to pretty much change your pie or rebalance. So you can't really just say, hey, sell 1 share of Apple or stuff like that. So in a way, it's not for day traders. It's more for long-term traders. Another con that I like to mention is the graphs aren't really the most detailed. This isn't really a big issue, as there are many ways for you to get graphs and see very detailed graphs on the internet for free, such as stockcharts.com, stuff like that, stocks tracker or whatever. So there are other ways, other avenues to see charts, but just the charts that are in that platform aren't the best. I never really used them. There was always something else that I used that showed a lot more detail. There's also no ways to add studies. But like I said, it's not a big deal if you just use charts from other places. And also there's no level 2. This isn't a big deal, right? If you're not day trading, but if you are a day trader, this is definitely not the platform for you. Okay, another con is their membership, which is called M1 Plus, and it is kind of a really bad deal. I believe the price is $125 per year. And at the moment, all you get is 1% API on their checking account. So any cash balance you have there, you get 1% API per year, which I mean isn't the best. So, but there's other free online checking accounts like Ally, which I use, that give you more than that. So this is basically useless. The next is 1% cash back on debit card purchases. This is kind of good for debit card purchases, but I don't see anybody making M1 spend their main checking account. I believe everybody has Wells Fargo, Chase, any other big bank that they use debit cards. Or if people like buying stuff with credit cards, definitely credit cards offer 2%, 3%, up to maybe even 5% if there's a promotion going on. So 1% cashback isn't really anything that stands out. Another thing you get from M1 Plus is M1 Borrow, which is only 2% fee, I believe. Without M1 Plus, the fee is 3.5%. And I'm not even going to talk about this because I'm really against margin and borrowing money to invest. That's kind of like a slippery slope, right? Some people don't really know how to handle risk. And if you can't handle enough risk on your own money, what makes you think you can handle risk, using other people's money? So definitely stay away from margining at all costs. And lastly, you get the afternoon trade window that I was talking about earlier. I believe it's 2 p.m., 3 p.m., and you don't get to pick what price you get filled at. It's just whatever time. But if you're going to buy, most of the time you're going to just do it one day and that's it. Another pro that isn't really a big deal, but I figured I'd mention, is that there is no crypto trading. Mainly comparing this to Robinhood, which does have crypto trading. You don't really have the actual cryptocurrency. It's more like speculation. But it at least gives you the option to invest in crypto. Like I said, it's not a really big deal, but I figured it's worth mentioning. And the last pro is the hidden fees. There actually is a hidden fee that I actually got hit with, and I will speak about that later. And that is that if you have an account less than $20 and there is no trading activity for 90 plus days, they will take whatever amount they have less than $20 from your account. That's it. Like if you have less than $20 and you don't have any trading activity for 90 days, they just take your whole account. And which that happened to me, and I will show you guys. Another con is that liquidating your account takes forever. And by liquidating, I mean selling all your assets in the account. So when I liquidated my dividend account, it literally took 10 days for them to settle. Every other account, literally on any other broker, if you want to sell all your account, you do it on one day, right? You sell everything, and that's it. You have the cash in your account to do whatever you want. With M1 Finance, it took me 10 days for the shares to sell and for the cash to settle in my account. And then when I withdrew it into my bank account, it took another 3 to 5 days. So it was basically 2 weeks it took me to liquidate my account. Lastly, another con is a horrible customer service. There is no phone line that you can call and speak to an actual person about, whatever options you have or problems or anything. There's basically only email. There is a chat option on the app, but they never respond. I feel like there's only one person handling every single customer complaint, whatever customer service. So when you do email, text them on the chat app, you don't get a response, and later they just email you back. So there is basically just email. That's the only way to contact their customer service. And you can see here on LinkedIn, they literally only have the company size that's 11 to 50 employees, but there's 79 employees that say they work there. So how many of those are customer service? I believe just one, because I only talked to one person on 3 different occasions. So I literally haven't met 2 people who work at customer service at M1 Finance. All right, so lastly, I want to talk about my experience with M1 Finance and ultimately why it is that I chose to liquidate my accounts and transfer them over to E-Trade. So first of all, like I said, it took 2 whole weeks to liquidate my account and get my money out. Once I did that, a month later, after I withdrew my accounts, I was still receiving dividends from that dividend account. So I was gonna leave that money sitting there piling up, and before 3 months and the inactivity fee hits me, I was going to move it out because I shouldn't be receiving any dividends that far out. So just a month later, I had $12.64 just from dividends that accumulated ever since I liquidated my account. And suddenly my account disappeared. It was gone. Like, they didn't just take my money. Like, it didn't say zero. Like, my entire account was gone. So in typical M1 Finance customer service support, I had to email them. I hit him up on a chat, no response. And so I got an email. And then I talked to this guy, Will. And I asked him pretty much, why was my account closed when I had a cash balance? And he said that the inactivity fee hit me, and that is why my funds was debited to the company. That's why they took my $12.64. And then I knew about the policy that it said 3 months. And so I reread it myself, and I knew that there was no way that they could have taken that money based on that fee. And so that's why I responded to him. I was not aware of any inactivity fees. Can you show me under policy where it states that? And later on, he replied and said, M1 will only apply the inactivity fee for any account less than $20 and has had no activity for the past 90 days. So, it even says to encourage our users to fully liquidate their accounts, which is what I did, but these were dividends. So I didn't just liquidate my account and leave $12.64 for the fun of it, to which I replied, I had not fully abandoned my account and I still had dividends being paid out to that account. Furthermore, I believe my last activity in the account was in April, so it hasn't even been 90 days. It was literally like a month. And I was made sure to ask him, why was my account closed if it doesn't meet the criteria you have described or outlined in the policy? To which he replies that, apologies for the delay. I have requested that the account be reopened, which should be completed in the next few business days. Once this is complete, I will request to refund the amount of the fee and dividends that were debited. So completely ignoring and avoiding the question that I asked them about the policy and why my account was closed. So I was very curious if I was still going to receive any dividend payments, so I still asked them about those. And I even pushed them again on the same question, why was my account closed? I did not receive any warning. I did not receive a text, a message, no alert in my account saying, hey, you have like a week to do something with your account or we're going to take this money out. None of that happened. So I even told them I have another account with them and I'm questioning moving it out the platform because by this time I was fed up. Just everything I had to go through. Wait 2 weeks to liquidate my account and then they take, close my account up, take all my money, $12.64, right? And then just the customer service experience so far, it was just a headache, just trying to get to talk to somebody. So he replied, yeah, you will have, future dividends paid. And your account was closed due to a restriction from our clearing firm, but we will open up the account and allow you to withdraw the funds. Okay, first of all, what restriction from clearing firm? What does that mean, and what does that have to do with my account and my money that I had in there? And thank you for allowing me to, withdraw the money that was mine, right? Like, thank you. And then I thought everything was well, but no. Apparently, something happened where they could not open the account for an ongoing account transfer, which I wasn't even transferring anything. And so by this point, I was like, wow, I literally just want all my money back. I was tired of using this platform. And so I asked them, can you put the money in my IRA account, in my M1 spend account, which is the checking account, or this individual account that I had from the beginning? And if none of those options were going to work, then I was just going to have to make a whole new account. And to which he said, yeah, I can just credit the account to the individual account. And finally that happened. It literally took I believe a week for me to get my money back. It was ridiculous. So after that wonderful experience, I decided that I was going to transfer my Roth IRA account from M1 Finance into E-Trade, which I had used in the past, and I had used it for day trading. They don't allow fractional shares, and back then they did not have free trades. So that is one of the reasons why I kind of chose to test out M1 Finance, because they had that advantage over E-Trade, but definitely not after this. So what happened was I put in the account transfer on E-Trade. I gave them my account information from M1 Finance, and what they do is they contact M1 Finance and say, hey, transfer all these assets to us for the customer. And it's a pretty pretty quick and simple process if you have ever done an account transfer. I believe the E-Trade representative that I spoke to said it takes 7 to 10 days, or 5 to 7 business days, right? Max. That's what they said. However, after they put in the transfer, E-Trade reached out to me and said that the transfer was denied. It was denied by M1 Finance. So I called E-Trade and they said, yeah, we tried to transfer it, but it was denied. So reach out to them, call them or whatever, and ask them what happened, because it's on their end. So coming back to M1 Finance, of course, there's no way to call them. There's no way to text them. I just had to email and wait. So reading from the bottom up, I said I need help about my account, which is our Roth IRA account. I put it on another broker to transfer my account out, and it got denied. Can I ask why the transfer got denied, and what do I have to do in order to successfully transfer my funds out? The next day, again, no explanation. It's just like, I have submitted a request to resubmit the transfer. Let me know if there's anything I can do. That's it. So, very horrible, just a horrible experience. So after they said to try again, I reached out to E-Trade, and, it's actually a real person I can talk to. And, it was wonderful talking to somebody, right, about what was going on. And they said, yeah, we'll try it again and see what happens. So after that moment, my M1 Finance account was put on hold. Like, I couldn't add, sell, even take or add cash to my account. And it was like that for about 3 weeks. So 3 weeks later, I get my shares into E-Trade. The problem was it was only 80%. There was still 20% that didn't get sent over, and it was still in M1 Finance. So I had, 80% of my account in E-Trade. I could do whatever I want, buy, sell, everything. But then there was still the 20% that was on hold in M1 Finance, and I got that a week later. So all in all, it took 3 to 4 weeks to transfer an account from M1 Finance into E-Trade, when it should have taken, 5, 7, 10 business days max. So definitely, if you can tell by my experience, M1 Finance has a lot of flaws and inefficiencies, in their liquidation and transferring accounts, which is, made worse by a small customer service of one person. I'm not saying it's all bad, but it's only good for pretty much long-term investors who just want to keep adding money, just keep adding money, keep adding, and don't really care about what price they get stuff in. So if you're a day trader, this is definitely not the platform for you. And even if you are a long-term trader, I believe there's other options for you to use. You can use Robinhood or Webull, which you can get 2 free stocks if you use the link in the description. Had to plug that in there. But definitely, that is my experiences with M1 Finance. If you guys are thinking about using it, have used it, or are in the middle of using it, please drop down a comment and let me know what your experience has been, because I hope not everybody has had the same experience. All right, guys, I will see you on the next video.